the women's national para ice hockey team faced off against the U.S. in a 3-game series this weekend. Émilie Robitaille, the president of the Women's Para Hockey of Canada organization, joins the show to discuss this and more. Let's get started.
Welcome to Parasport Nation with Alex Smyth and Nathan Clement.
Welcome into Parasport Nation. I'm your host, Alex Smyth, as always joined by Nathan Clement, co-host and seemingly endless award winner. Nathan, another day, another accolade to add to your impressive resume.
Yeah, I'm just very honored and very fortunate to have been awarded the King's Coronation Medal, an award that's given to Canadians who display acts of service to their community and support, and just for myself to be named with other famous Paralympians like Shelby Newkirk, Julia Haynes, Rick Hansen, Peter Isherwood, and so many other people is just an incredible honor. It's one of those things where I've gotten to know the member of parliament who nominated me, and just the work that he's done for sport in Canada, being a part of VANOC for the 2010 Winter Olympic and Paralympic Games, and now just being able to hopefully help that next generation of sport is so special and such an honor to me. So I'm just so thankful to have received this.
Well, you have the award with you. Can you kind of describe it to us? Because I'm curious. I was not familiar with this award until you posted a photo of it on the weekend.
Yeah, so the King's Coronation Medal has a photo, has King Charles engraved into it with the British royal coloring of the red, blue, and white decorating the ribbon of the medal. So it is presented to Canadians who have given to their community on a regional, provincial, or even national level. So it's presented yearly. It used to be the Queen's Jubilee Medal that was given out when Queen Elizabeth was the Queen of England, and it kind of is a different medal for every ruling monarch in England and the UK.
Well, obviously, it is well-deserved. You have done a lot to not only within your community, but also on a national scale. So congratulations 1,000 times over, Nathan. You are well-deserving of every single one of these accolades that come your way. I know you don't like the praise, so I'm going to stop heaping the praise on you for now, and we can focus on other athletes who are doing great things. But just, again, congratulations.
Thank you, Alex.
Well, let's move over then to those other athletes who are doing some great things. Nathan, you got a whole rundown and breakdown in the PSN update. Take it away.
Now, the PSN update.
A border clash in the Niagara Peninsula set the tone for an exciting sporting weekend. Canada and the United States dropped the puck in women's and men's para ice hockey. Both teams squared off in a series of 3 games. The men had a pair of close contests as Canada defeated the United States 2-1 in the 3rd game, while the women lost a pair of nail-biters in Thorhold, Ontario. Next up for the teams is the Men's World Championship across Niagara Falls and Buffalo, New York in May. For the women, the inaugural Para Ice Hockey World Championship has been announced to take center stage in Slovakia in August. From the rink to the court, the National Wheelchair Basketball Association's collegiate kings and queens have been crowned. The Crimson Tide of Alabama reign continues as the women's team has won their 5th consecutive title. On the men's side, Canadian Tokyo and Paris Paralympian Blaise Mutwar led the Arizona Wildcats to the national crown. And that's the PSN update.
Obviously, we're going to be talking a lot about the women's para ice hockey team in just a little bit when Émilie Robitaille joins the show. But I want to focus in on this National Wheelchair Basketball Association, because this is one of the more underrated kind of setups when it comes to parasport. The U.S. collegiate level, they have these high-class competitions, these leagues for parasport. Wheelchair basketball is, I think, by far and large the most competitive, the most well-known, the most invested in the U.S. And this is just phenomenal. Obviously, the Crimson Tide winning their 5th consecutive title, that is impressive on its own. But I think just the growth and the support of that sport in the collegiate system is something else entirely, Nathan.
Just the depth of these schools there, where on the men's side you had 12 schools, on the women's side you had about 6. So just the growth that you're having in the United States, and so many different schools that are taking place in these different competitions, where for you and I, we've had different tournaments come up in the Parasport update that we've broken down, whether it's Eastern Washington or just recently with Arizona and Alabama winning the national title. It's one of those sports that has such a rich history and in the sporting scene. It is really incredible just to go and really witness it, because it's been going on for years and years and years. Wheelchair basketball started in 46, and the NWBA has just really continued to expand and grow. And hopefully at some point we'll get Canadian schools really having wheelchair basketball players come in. But it's always an interesting time. You and I are both football fans, and we enjoy basketball too. This time of year has been really cool to see the commitments happening to these schools. And it's really become a big deal on the wheelchair basketball side, where I'm on Instagram, other social medias, and you see athletes committing to these different schools. It's really unique and special, and that's how big the NWBA has grown over these years.
And also too, it's great that it's coinciding with, the biggest basketball events, I think, in the world. When you have March Madness, it is just frantic. It's excitement. It's college basketball. So to be able to have the para wing of that, the wheelchair basketball competition, coincide with that is beautiful. That is what we want to see take place with all the sports. But getting that investment, getting that support from, colleges like the University of Alabama, one of the biggest, if not the biggest sports schools in the U.S., I think it is a tremendous thing. I would love to see more of it. I would love to see more of these college programs. Yes, obviously in Canada, but also in the U.S. grow and develop, because for those schools in the U.S., it is such a huge moneymaker. It's not quite the same thing here in Canada. You don't get that same level of revenue, but you see what happens when there are those teams that are successful. They invest in them. They make these athletes superstars. That would be tremendous to see on the wheelchair basketball side of things, if that continues, if that growth and trajectory continues upwards.
I really see it just continuing as these sports get more and more spotlight, especially in Paris, but going forward to Los Angeles is going to be the perfect spot to really show the growth and excitement of it. And when just recently having Patrick Anderson retire and just seeing his career celebrated by so many organizations and so many people, just the lasting impacts of people like him who went through the U.S. collegiate system, and so many of Canada's wheelchair Canada's wheelchair basketball players on the women's and men's side have played with different schools all across the United States. And it's one of those things that's just going to continue to grow. As a kid growing up, you have a goal, you have a target. Okay, I want to play collegiate basketball at X school. That's my dream. That's my goal. And then see where you go from there. It's setting these little milestones that are going to really become an opportunity for a kid, for someone to really take on. And we've even seen it in Canada too, with the sitting volleyball tournament happening in Durham College that we covered earlier in the year.
Yeah, and one thing too from that interview with Patrick, and I asked him about the fact that it's like, okay, not only is it the collegiate side, but it's also those club kind of opportunities. It's like, this is just another opportunity for a wheelchair basketball player to be able to play, train, and prepare themselves outside of a national program. Yes, you have national level athletes playing and competing and winning in these tournaments, but it's that other chance for them to play with other players in other environments, hone their skills, hone their craft as a basketball player. So when they do get those call-ups, they they have more experience, more opportunities to play, and more development in place than some of their teammates may have because of the opportunity to play more consistently with a level of competition. So again, I can't say enough. This always fascinated me when I came across it, when I first discovered that you had this at the college level. I'm going to continue to talk about it every chance again because I just love it so much. But let's move on now because we are thrilled to be joined by Émilie Robitaille, who is the president of Women's Para Hockey of Canada, because the Canadian Women's National Para Ice Hockey team faced off against the U.S. in a 3-game series this past weekend in Thorold, Ontario. The U.S. ended up taking the series 2-1 over Canada. This competition marks a pivotal moment for the team as they prepare for the inaugural Women's Para Ice Hockey World Championships set to take place in Slovakia in August 26th to the 31st. It's going to feature 6 teams. It's going to feature US, Canada, Norway, Great Britain, Australia, and a team world. So it's definitely something that we're going to be looking forward to. Here's our interview with Émilie. Émilie, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
Thank you.
So obviously there was a ton of excitement and a lot of energy this past weekend. Can you share with us your initial thoughts or reaction to reflection from this past weekend's competition?
Yeah, the Canada-USA Women's Para Hockey Series is always an interesting event for Canada, as USA are our main rivals. This year was the first time the women played together, so they demonstrated great teamwork.
The event as a whole was really exciting to watch and just see the growth of the women's game. Why is a competition in a series like this between Canada and the US so important?
Every opportunity the women have to play together allows them to elevate their game. During the season, we have a few opportunities to meet and play together because the athletes have to self-fund for the majority of the events. For the Canada-USA series, which took place last week, we are truly grateful that Hockey Canada covered the majority of the cost. It's partnership like this that will allow us to perform to our full potential.
No. And obviously it was an exciting time to take it in as fans. It's an important event for the kind of progress in hockey and para hockey for women. But what were the athletes saying? What were they talking about? What was the buzz like around the players themselves?
As the first event of the years, it's always exciting for athletes. Having the men's and women's series run in parallel under the same roof allows the women to experience what they hope will be the first steps toward gender equity in para hockey. So the dream is for them to have the same opportunities as men.
It was just recently announced that the women's are going to have their first World Championships coming up in August in Slovakia. What does it mean to the women's game to finally have that inaugural tournament?
The tournament will feature 6 teams and will take place at the Winter Stadium in Slovakia. There will be 6 national teams, so Australia, Canada, Great Britain, Norway, USA, alongside the Team World. This is huge as it represents the first step toward the opportunity for women to participate in the Paralympic Games.
And for the sport as well, can you expand on how this will help elevate the women's para ice hockey movement in Canada and then abroad? Because you mentioned this is all in support and momentum to make things more equitable in the sport of para ice hockey. So how is this event really going to help to raise that profile?
Exactly. The first Women World Championship is a statement. It allows women to say, we are here, we are strong, we are fast, we play smart. What we want more than anything in the world is to perform at the highest level.
Especially looking at the women's para ice hockey game, the World Challenge that has happened in Green Bay in the United States, but also in Norway, has really helped bring a spotlight to the women's sport. How has those tournaments meant to the women's game?
I think every step for the women is the world for the athletes. So they are really excited about each new step. Some of them have been waiting for this moment for over 20 years. So at the moment, each of them trains tirelessly on and off the ice to give their best. So they are ready to make the history.
And after this monumental weekend of action, there's a lot of buzz. Obviously, we're looking forward to the inaugural World Championships. But what other opportunities will there be for Team Canada and Team USA to kind of prepare for those World Championships between now and then?
At the moment, we will have pre-camp. So because of, as I said before, athletes are mostly self-funded to prep for the camp. So we will have a prep camp and then the Women World Championship. There might be event that like regional event, what we call. But not everybody on the team will be there. But that brings me to the fact that one of the most stressful things that is part of the preparation for the athlete is the financial preparation. So in addition to training, they must take a lot of time to raise the necessary funds to participate in those camps. So maybe I can say that the best way you can help is by donating. So if you want to, for more information, you can visit our website at wphcanada.com.
Yeah, and also too, Emily, just on that point as well, I know there's a new campaign that is going on about, I think it was called Sticks In. Can you tell us a bit more about the Sticks In campaign, which is meant to help bring financial supports for the players?
Exactly. Our goal, we would really like that player did not need to raise money, they just, if they could just concentrate on training. So that campaign, Stick-Ins, is to raise $1 million. So it will help us to have more opportunities for the athletes to play together and reach their potential.
For the women's game and the women's team, where can people follow and watch the women's team's matches or see how they're doing at training camps and other events?
You can look on our Facebook page and you will see the link for the match where you can see the woman playing.
Emily, this has been fantastic. I'm sure you're incredibly busy from getting everything from this past weekend to prepping and looking forward to the World Championships. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that was our conversation with Émilie Robitaille, the president of Women's Para Hockey of Canada. Obviously, a few different things I want to dissect from that conversation, Nathan, but I think the fact that Emily talking about how this was a step forward, a movement forward in equity for women's para ice hockey, playing alongside the men's game, having the competition all rolled into one. That is a momentum builder as they continue to push for Paralympic inclusion.
It's incredible just to have these opportunities for the women's game. And as Emily mentioned, there is just the cost of sport that they have to go through too, where a lot of those camps are self-funded and they have an opportunity now where they don't have to worry and take on that cost. And it's just important that to get these opportunities that can give more spotlight, bring more people into this women's game. So for women's hockey players, they don't have to pay to attend these camps. They don't have to pay to attend matches and different games. And it allows the governing body and the structures to be able to afford these camps so the athletes don't have to pay at the end of the day. And that goes so far and so deep into the future.
Yeah, and the fact that they're setting up this Sticks In campaign to really get the donors and the sponsorships in place to really help build the movement, grow the sport. So the athletes, as she said, can just focus on being athletes. They don't have to worry about the financial burdens that come when you are trying to still develop a parasport, trying to achieve Paralympic status, and still not having all those strong foundations or those finances in place. It can be a lot for an athlete to take on. But let's also focus in a bit on that upcoming inaugural World Championship, because having 6 different teams compete, that is huge, as they want to make that push for Paralympic inclusion. I believe it's usually around 6 to 8 teams that the Paralympics look. They want to make sure it's competitive in multiple countries, not just a small handful. So having 6 teams there, including a world team, that is a tremendous step for their ultimate goal of Paralympic inclusion.
Yeah, each competition that they have, it just continues to grow and grow and grow. We've covered the Women's Para Ice Hockey Challenge, going back to Green Bay in 2022 to 2023, and then in Norway in 2024. And just every tournament, they're getting more and more percentage of teams. And there's one country that really sticks out to me. And I'd love to ask you, what does it mean to have Australia a part of the World Championships?
Yeah, it's huge. I think that just goes to show that they are making it a global sport. It's not just North America and Europe who are looking and getting into the sport of para ice hockey. You have Australia all the way around on the other end of the world. They've put a team together. They're going to be there. They're going to be competing. That is huge. So I become very hopeful when you see something like that news that, okay, you got an Australian team that's going to be set to compete. Maybe, does that mean we start looking at an Asian team will start to be developed? I'll be very curious once that roster for the world team does get announced and see where the athletes are representing. I'm sure there's going to be a couple from Slovakia where they're having the event, but maybe some other European nations as well. So I'm going to be very curious when we do get that announcement. I'm sure we'll have a bit of a chat about that, because that is something that I will want to kind of dive into a bit and see, okay, where else is this sport growing globally? But you had mentioned this before too, when it comes to the financial burdens and the logistics. Obviously, if you're a team based in Australia, you're traveling around the world to get to Slovakia, and it's not just in North America for these competitions, but there's that financial burdens too that Emily has talked about. There's a lot of logistics that go into traveling as an athlete. You just got back from Spain doing a training camp, which is a whole other kind of side of things. It's not just a competition, but training globally as well. Take me through a bit of the logistics, the highs and lows of doing the travel and the transit from not only yourself, but also your equipment.
To be an athlete and even just get to travel the world is a privilege, but there is a lot of stresses that do come with the traveling of different bike equipment, different gear. For myself, we have one giant box that we fit my whole entire trike into. So there's like little compartments that different bits of the trike get into, that they're fastened down with different levers and different pulleys, just so they don't move around, because the last thing you want is a 20-pound piece of steel rattling around in a box. So it all gets secured into one box, and that usually happens a day before, a couple of days before, whenever I can get support to get the bike taken apart, because with my disability, it's very difficult for me to build and put together a trike, because it requires a lot of two hands to do it. But usually getting to the airport, you have a certain weight limit to it, with at least with most sporting equipment, about 75 pounds. And just for myself, usually I'm floating around that let's say 74 to 78 pounds, but we all know it's a little higher than that. So you're kind of hoping that they're going to let you onto the plane. But usually with the sport and so many other athletes I know that listen to this show, like whether it's wheelchair basketball, whether it's rugby, whether it's tennis, you name a sport, when your sporting equipment has a layover of under an hour and a half, 2 hours, you're pretty well biting your fingernails the whole time because it's a 50-50 shot if it's going to show up at your next destination or not. So one of the big things all athletes do is get air tags. So you're going to be aware of, okay, is my bike going to be showing up? Is my piece of equipment going to be showing up in that next location? And if it's not, you can do a claim right away to get it sooner than later. But with travel and with that kind of thing, it's always that game of, I hope it arrives, but if it's not, it's not the end of the world. Like I've had situations, I know other athletes that have had situations where your bike maybe doesn't show up till a day before a competition or 2 days before a competition, which isn't ideal in the grand scheme of things. But travel can be very, very tricky, but there's no better feeling than knowing all the gear has arrived. Like that is the best feeling ever, is just seeing like all the bikes, all the suitcases and everything just show up at that airport carousel.
I'm sure, and that's always that challenge, right? As you say, you don't know if it's going to be there until you show up, and it is actually there. So, I'm glad to hear for the most part. You know, things there may be a little adjustments that you have to do on your trike when once you've got it back home, but I'm glad you made it home safe and secure. We're happy to have you back on and ready to go with this week's episodes. But Nathan, we've reached the end of the show. So for you folks at home, thank you for watching and listening. Be sure to catch us on YouTube, on Parasport Nation, or on AMI Audio, listening to that, through the podcast, Parasport Nation. You can also follow us on Instagram, Parasport Nation AMI. We're going to be posting some fun content there over the next little while and engaging with our followers. So we'll catch you next time on Parasport Nation.
Thanks for tuning in to Parasport Nation. Like and subscribe to the channel to follow us now.